a sponsor today.
You're a sponsor.
TasteMoonMagic.com, a Canadian company. Vegan, 5 grams of fat, earth-friendly, and 2 grams of sugar in a 1.41 ounce or 40 gram bar. Okay. This is Java Rock, which is a coffee crisp. You want to try some? Are we filming? We're filming, ladies and gentlemen, episode 2. Do you know what episode it is, Al? Jesus, never pay attention. 251. Today, our episode is called The Chart, okay? Today's episode is actually a sponsored episode. I believe this is our first sponsored episode, sponsored by Moon Magic Chocolate Factory. TasteMoonMagic.com. TasteMoonMagic.com, not .ca.com. However, Canadian, a local Vancouver company. Vegan chocolate. What do we have here? 117 calories per bar. Al just tried the Java Rock, which is a coffee crisp. Al, your thoughts? Al likes the coffee crisp. So there's a vegan bar with 5 grams of net fat, 2 grams of total sugar in a 40 gram bar. Earth-friendly bar. Nice little moon man on there. Al's got some footage for that. Oh, use code MOONBOGO, buy one, get one, half off. So that's today's sponsor. We're excited about that. Very good, healthy chocolate. Now, also today we're trying The Boss coffee. We can zoom in on that. This is my little Japanese layer on today's thing. If anyone's been to the old world, we'll call it, you've seen the hell are they called? Vending machines full of these little guys. So I picked one up from Konbinya. That's convenience store in Japanese. Up on Robson Street the other day. So we're going to try that on air mid-show. Now, today we're going into the chart. Al, Control Shift 5. Al, come on. Oh, I press record? That would make sense. Okay, so today we're going to go into 2 aspects of this. When we all know since January, December was the bottom, January was the bottom of the last market, and we've been coming up, okay? Inventory is tight, rates are still increasing. So it's a very strange time, as we all know. But the one fact is that the market is increasing and the inventory is tight, and those are 2 facts. And at this stage, the impression, as noted last week, people are still taking those 2 to 3 year terms instead of those traditional 5. I've got some rate details here from one of the local brokers that we're working with as well for some insight. But the market's moving again, and we're going to jump into this chart just on, I don't typically like to discuss the historical numbers because I think in speaking to today's buyers, for example, you have a saved deposit, and actually I'm not even going to get into that. We'll get into that. That's the second half. So I just want to get into this chart here. You've got all this on screen. So as we can see, this is the chart. If I crawl up here, Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, residential average sales prices chart. So these are the average sales prices. So not volume, not listing numbers, not sales numbers, sales price averages. So we have the blue line at the top here, which is our detached market, the most volatile, as you can see. We have the red, which is attached, so townhomes and half duplexes. And then we have the green at the bottom, which is our beloved condo market. Now, we're going to focus on the blue, which is the detached housing market today, just because it's a bit bigger and the peaks and troughs are a bit more emphasized. There's a bit more volatility. And since way back here, when we were all a little closer together in the beautiful early 80s, Al, you weren't even a thought. And I was just blazing around in elementary school. Dragons and butterflies, to be precise, at that church we passed the other day by Kitchener, which is the first foundational. Anyway, won't get into that again. So what I wanted to look at here is up here right now where we are looking at a bit, is this gonna work? Oh no, we don't want that. A bit of a topping out has taken place at that 2.1 million average price, which was end of 2021, early 2022. And we know at that time, March 2022 is when the rates began. So right now we're kind of in the middle here in this flat, oh my God, is this gonna work or not? In this flat, there we go, area here. So dating back, we see a number of flat areas that we've, that I'm highlighting here, that we've noticed. So we really started to detach markets in the late 70s or 80s there. Let's fast forward to 2008 when we had obviously the, as they call it in Australia, the GFC, Al, the Great Financial Crisis, the GFC, man. So let's go post there because that's long enough ago. What happened at that time? Obviously, people were scared. The market went down. We had a little trough there till, what's this, roughly mid-09. And then we started our trajectory up. And we went up to about, what's that, mid-2011. So what took place here? Let's now layer in our other friendly chart. You don't want to look at this. We don't want to look at that. Actually, this is good enough. This is better. These are Bank of Canada rates. Let's take this back to the 80s. So what are we seeing here? Al, you're not looking at this yet, but what I'm looking at here is 18.25% 5-year mortgage, Al. That's in November of 1981. I was born in March of that year, as we should all know by now. So anyway, things were crazy. Taking it back to 08, which is right about here, let's say April 08. Actually, when I started in resale, Al, as you should know all these stats by now as well. So the rates, 7.5% right here, January 08. And what are they doing? They are coming down. Okay, they're softening from that point. So we came down and we softened. When is this going until? This is, yeah, April 2023. So we softened kind of right down as we saw there into the 2s and even in the 1s as during COVID and all that sort of stuff. But the rates basically came down. So as the rates came down, naturally the prices went up. So when money gets cheap, people take it. So 2012, we've got another plateau there, another flat, and then we started up again 2014, and 2014 jumped to the next peak, 2016. So you see obviously flat, up, These troughs, however, 1, 2, and 3 are getting wider as we go, as I'm sure you'll notice. And then again, 2019, we pick up to that 2022, which was the last big leg up. And now we're in that trough again. So looking back historically, I think we are in a trough now. I don't know how long it's going to last. If we're looking at the numbers, it should be a long-winded kind of sideways market, as we've seen them progressively get longer-winded, if you will, trough after trough, before I do believe again, we will spike up again and move. The Bank of Canada is doing whatever they can to get us down to that 3%, 2% target for inflation. I do believe at some point next year, they will begin to bring rates back down. I think they'll jump up again next month, and then again, let's say mid next year, they'll start to teeter off again. But in the meantime, today, we've got a market that is heating up, even in this extremely high, not what we saw in the 80s, but extremely high for today and for these purchase prices, this market value, extremely high highly priced market. So macro, bigger picture view, I think we're looking at a sideways market for a little bit of time. And, sorry, one sec. And we're gonna go sideways. How long that lasts? Is it gonna follow the trend of what it's done in the last, whatever that is, 14 years? Maybe, maybe not. But looking at these trends, you can try and pick trends, bigger picture trends on what we're going to be experiencing here. But I see, and I bring this up because I see a lot of people when they're saving up the deposits, saving up money to add to equity to buy their second or third home, in their chain of events, they start hammering into the numbers, as they should. There's the kind of macro and micro aspect of this market. You start hammering into the micro numbers on the comps and all that sort of stuff. That's some relative market data that we would use today. This market data I don't think is as important whatsoever, because these trajectories and these trends that we have come from may paint a rough picture, but it's not going to help you in negotiating today. It's not going to help you with your dollar values today. And it's not going to help you with the problem you face today, which right now is trying to get into a very tight market. So this is kind of where we've come from, which is quite interesting. A little less volatility on the condo and the attached market than on the detached, as we can see below here, of course. They've naturally gone up over time as they do, but not to the same trajectory. So what does this tell you? Maybe this tells you if you can comfortably get into a house before the others, do so as quickly as you can. That's a lot of people's goals anyway. So that's the first half. That's kind of where we've come from. But if you're looking at buying today or in the short term, all this information, in my opinion, is irrelevant. Not to swipe it off the table, but it's not what you need to be focusing on. If you're looking today, you need to be focusing on much more micro aspects of the market, which is the trend of the market that you're actually planning on buying into. If you're already in the market, the trend of the market you're having to sell out of to buy into. Benchmark pricing, as in if you're looking at buying a entry-level West Side house, what is the last one sold for? How long ago was that? Did that sell in multiples? That's the new benchmark. What is the next one asking? And really hammering down what the actual details of today are. Keep in mind, if you're buying $1 million property and the market moves 1%, that's a $10,000 move. That's what you need to be worried about today. So looking back and trying to think, well, if the market's going like this over that longer term trend, let's just catch it on the down. Very few gods among us have caught markets at absolute tops and absolute bottoms to purchase or sell at their benefit. I do not suggest you try and be the next one. I also don't suggest that you try and wait and bet against the market. That has proven over time to be a very painful losing strategy. So if you can afford it, buy it. Always buy within your comfort levels, as we always know, but once you've got that amount of equity saved, or you've got that additional amount to add to equity, or you've got that initial down payment amount, don't start jumping into the historical numbers and say, well, I think it's gonna go sideways for a bit and there could be a better opportunity. You need to jump into today's numbers, which is more of the micro details of your exact segments of the market, your exact numbers of competition, and your exact benchmarks to what you wanna buy today. Now, the boss 30th. You know, you go to vending machines there and a huge, Al, you'd be interested in knowing this. Who was the guy that played Two-Face in that Batman movie with Riddler, with Joker? Jim Carrey was Riddler. Who was the guy that played Two-Face? Where's your pop culture? Anyway, he is the, I will Google it. He is the face of coffee down in Japan. You see him here as that. That's the last thing. Jones, something Jones. Tommy Lee Jones. He's the face of coffee down in Japan. He's promoting a big thing down there. Anyway, not that important. Let's. Oh, she's smooth. And that goes perfectly with our Moon Magic Chocolate Factory Java Rock 111 calories per bar sponsor today. So I was going to jump into one other thing. Oh, the rates. So another word just as a final shut off, because again, we're over the time, from our local mortgage specialist from Ziva Mortgage, Casey Archibald. Today we've had mortgage details from Megan Graham, mortgage specialist, and Casey Archibald, mortgage specialist. Thank you both very much for your input into today's video. Fixed rates have gone up by 0.50, that's half of 1%, to 0.75% over the last 2 weeks. We've received 4 fixed rate increase notices from TD alone in the last 2 weeks. So everything is on the up money-wise. Again, I can't explain how the money is tightening around us, and we've looked at these charts, and as we know, when the economy gets tight and the government wants to do something about it, they let the money gates open. The more access to capital people have, the more money they will take, the cheaper that money is, and that keeps the ball rolling. So even in this tightening financial environment, as stated right there by Mr. Casey Archibald himself, the banks are still tightening and people are still jumping into multiples, buying. Days on market are tight, inventory is tight on all levels of the market, from entry level 700 up 5, 6, 7 million. So I can't explain that other than the fact that the dire need to get into the market is as strong as ever. The belief is as strong as ever, and don't hesitate. If you can afford to do it now and the right thing comes, just buy. And with that, friends, I will see you next week. Look, even a little logo on the chocolate owl. Can you zoom in on that? There we go. Oh, look at the back. Look at that little moon rock. It looks like the face of the moon. God, it's unbelievable. Details here. All right. Till next time. Thank you. And good night.